Hey everyone, Chris here from VarsityGaming, and welcome to another patch notes reading. I haven't done one of these in a while, I don't think, but I mainly do them for big changes in the season, especially mid-season reinforcements, and there are quite a few in this one. I did just record this video completely, gave all my thoughts and opinions on everything that's happening, and then as I go to stop OBS from recording, it says it never actually saved the file. So here we are, recording it for a second time, and hopefully it'll be a little more refined than my last run through. But basically these notes are the developers talking about the statistics of all the operators and what they see as problems and what they're trying to do to change it. Overall, their goal is to have most of the operators be somewhere close to this section or cross section of the axes, because they want operators to have an even win-loss ratio and also an overall about 22.5% pick rate, because they don't want any operators to be super overpicked or underpicked. And you can see a decent amount of the operators are close. I think the win delta line's more important. As long as they're close to this line, I think they're pretty good. But you can see a decent amount of small outliers with a few extreme ones over here. And all this data is taken from ranked pool in the PC platform for only Platinum and Diamond lobbies. Which, as you'll see in the Defender side in a second, can kind of skew some of the stats because Frost is considered to have a huge win delta. Mainly because Frost is almost never picked in Platinum and Diamond. As you can see, she's less than 10%. But since she's so rarely picked, people are not used to checking for Frost mats. And because of this, that means that a lot of people can easily jump into them because they're not expecting a Frost. So it can skew some of the stats, but overall it is a decent representation of where operators are. As you can see on Defenders, there's a lot more really close to the axes, but there's also a lot more extreme ones. Whereas attackers are kind of overall evenly rounded towards the win delta, these ones are pretty scattered and jarring, especially Tachanka and Clash, but Tachanka will never be useful until they rework him, and then Clash is just too much of a team-oriented operator to really work in ranked, especially if you're in random lobbies, which most of us are. But anyways, that's enough about the information. If you want to look more into this, just go to the website, it's on the patch notes, and you can analyze it more if you want. I'm not going to get too far into it, although I'll talk about them more in a second once we go through all these operators. So big changes coming. Biggest being Lion is finally getting nerfed into the ground. Personally, I still don't think this is enough because his ability is still global and it's still very much intel based, but we'll go through the changes. Lion no longer has an outline when scanning. It's now a red ping debuff like Alibi or Jackal. The warning is cut in half, the scanning is cut in half, the cooldown is cut in almost half. So basically everything cut in half, but he gets an increased charge from 2 to 3. And they said that basically they want to keep him as an intel gathering operator, which I think is a really stupid idea. But they want to make him not as oppressive, because as it stands right now, as soon as you see that scan going, you know you're fucked if you're roaming, because that means they're about to converge on you. Or if you're even on site, you know you're fucked because you can't stop them from planting the diffuser. So overall, he's really oppressive right now, but he's finally getting changed to not be as bad. And I can't wait to see the comments of all the people saying, but I'm a Lion main and I don't think he's that powerful. Fuck off, he's overpowered as shit. That's why he's banned in Pro League. But anyways, Lion's ping will now work like Alibis, like I said, but I think Alibis currently scans every half second, and Lion's will scan every 1 second. So you can get scanned a maximum of 3 times. Once at 0 seconds, once at 1 second, once at 2 seconds. And their main goal was to make Lion more viable while also making him more easy to counter, especially on defense. Because as it stands right now, 7-second total scan time means that on ranked, you can plant a diffuser without the defenders being able to do anything. Because if they move, they're dead, basically. Whereas now it's going to be 3.5 seconds total. So in ranked, I think the plant time's 5 seconds, and then Pro League it's 7 seconds, so defenders have a lot more time to actually stop the plant after a Lion scan goes off. So it won't be nearly as bad, but I'm still not a fan of it being global, and I'm still not a fan of it forcing operators to stand still, because that's just not fun. If an operator just made you not reinforce a wall, it would not be fun to play against. So I think overall he still needs to be nerfed more, or I think it just needs to be changed. I don't think a global ability is good in this game, especially one as impactful as his. Finka is not picked as much, but she has a high win rate, mainly from global ability. Dokkaebi got nerfed, and you can see it's more representative of what global ability should be. She has an okay win delta, but not a super high pick rate. She's falling more in line with the other operators. A lot of people will say, look, Lion's not overpowered because he has a negative win delta and a not so great pick rate, but he's still overpowered because he's too easy to use. But anyways, we'll move on from Lion because I'm going to keep ranting about him if I don't. Capitao is getting a nerf buff, kind of. His damage is being reduced from 19 to 12, which is pretty significant, because now it means that you have to hit them 8 times as opposed to the current 6 times, in terms of fire damage ticks. So I think that's an extra full second, or maybe 2 seconds, that they have to be standing in the fire to die. Or no, tick is every half second, so it'd be 1 full second more. So that's kind of significant, but the size of the area of effect is being increased, so that's kind of balancing it out. But it'll also take longer to reach its maximum size. I think on the TTS it was instantaneous and it was big, but now it's going to be you shoot a firebolt, it'll start a fire, and then it'll take some time to spread and reach its maximum size. And then it'll also be harder to shoot because now if you're farther than 10 meters, it's going to start falling with bullet drop, which is pretty significant because there's very, very few things in this game that actually have bullet drop. Besides the throwables. This will be one of the only things that you shoot that has bullet drop. And they basically said that they want him to be his original intention, which is area denial. And with these changes, he's going to be better at that. So with this new growing fire system, his fire will no longer go through objects, which is a lot better because you've seen a lot of cases like on, say, Chalet Garage, when people try to firebolt that wall and then Thermite tries to breach it. Usually the fire will go through the wall and kill Thermite, which is not good. Now with these new changes, he'll be more viable to stopping someone from ban tricking, and it won't kill your teammate, which is good. And basically they decided to make it have to grow because of its size increase, it was a lot harder to avoid. If a Capitao firebolted you, you were going to be stuck in there longer. So now that it has time to grow, defenders have time to get out. It'll be more, like they said, area denial. It's not about killing people that are in a spot, it's about stopping people from going through there, which is good. And next up, Nomad is getting a slight, or actually pretty decent nerf. Now her air jabs are going to have a sound cue, which most people who are on defense would agree is pretty big necessity. Because if you look at most of the traps in the game, they have some indicator, something that'll warn you that it's there, whereas air jabs that are properly placed are almost impossible to avoid. Because if you put it, say, on a doorway, as soon as someone walks through, they're going to get hit by it. They don't even have time to shoot it. Whereas something like a Claymore, Capcan Trap, Frost Trap, you can at least see it and shoot it before it hurts you. It's not like as soon as you do have line of sight on it, it just destroys you. Because otherwise those would be overpowered. So now Nomad's going to have a sound cue so you know where it is and you can avoid it. It'll make roaming a lot easier. And she's also losing her Claymore, so she'll no longer be able to do her air jab Claymore combo. She'll have stun grenades instead, which I think is a good change. Now next one, which is one that I never thought would be an issue, but now they're changing it up. Ying is now getting her Candela cooking mechanics inverted. So right now, on live servers, her Candelas are opposite of frag grenades. Frag grenades, if you throw it right away, it takes its full time to explode. Whereas Candelas, if you throw it right away, it explodes immediately. So now they're going to make the Candelas be in line with the frag grenades, where if you throw it right away, it'll be at its longest duration to explode, or flash. And then if you hold it for the 3 seconds, it'll explode right away as soon as you throw it. Which, according to people who I've talked to on Twitch chat, said that that's how they thought it originally worked, was that it's just like a frag grenade. I never thought that was an issue. I thought it was pretty intuitive on its own. But they're making this change because I think people were complaining, and also it'll stop people from spamming, which is one thing that a lot of people do not like. And with reason. Like, I do it all the time. I'll use all 3 Candelas back to back to back, spamming them and being able to destroy a decent amount of people. So rip my Candela spams and rip my rushes into sight with it. But overall, an okay change, not one that I'm going to complain about. Next up we have Cade. He's losing 10 shots in his shotgun, which isn't too significant because rarely will you ever use all your ammo. And now his AUG A3 is actually going to become somewhat viable. As it stands, I believe it is the lowest damage per second gun in the entire game. So now it'll actually be somewhat more viable with 6 shots, or with 6 damage more per shot. So I think it won't be the lowest damage per second gun in the game, but it still might not be the best. But at least it's more viable, which is something that a lot of people have been requesting, because right now, if you don't run cage shotgun, you're basically throwing. And they said the reason why they're reducing the ammo is because they don't want people destroying soft walls to prepare the defense and also holding back attackers. They want you to choose between the two, which makes a little more sense. That's what Smoke basically is. You use all his shotguns to destroy soft walls and use the SMG-11 to hold people off. But now we're going to move on to Maestro, which is another, this is I think the second biggest change, even more impactful than Capitao or any of the other ones I talked about, is that Maestro's evil eyes are now going to be a lot easier to destroy. Now if they are disabled by an EMP or a shock drone, the glass on the front is going to be half open so you can just shoot it or melee it and destroy it. So now you don't have to have a sledge, maverick, grenade, explosive charge, whatever. You don't need that to destroy it. Now you just need an EMP and you can melee it or shoot it. So pretty significant. I think this will make Maestros really change up their playstyle. A lot of people like me will put Maestros outside of sight to try to destroy thermite charges or hit people when they're planting. And now it's going to make us really bring them closer to sight because all the enemy team needs is just a shock drone and they can easily destroy it. Moving on, we have Blitz. This is a pretty big nerf to him, but I don't think it's going to change too much. They basically said that Blitz is really frustrating to play against, so they're going to increase his cooldown on his flash from 2 seconds to 7 seconds, which is pretty fucking long. I think that's one of the longest cooldowns for his type of gadget in the game. So Blitz will be a lot more difficult to push people with back to back to back. You're going to have to leave some time between pushing people because you're not going to be able to push in, flash someone, kill them, push in, flash someone, kill them really quickly. You're going to have to at least wait the 7 seconds to do it. So it gives the defender some time to at least hurt him or try to run away or do something to counter him. And then one of the last changes, which honestly I did not know was lacking in the game, IQ can now detect Echo when he's on his wrist pad thing. I honestly thought that was in the game since day one, and I'm pretty sure I've actively tried to search for Echo players who were on their wrist pad the entire time, but now I know it's in the game for sure, and I can actually try to hunt down Echo players. Which will also be pretty impactful for Echoes like me who like to put down their yokais on site and then just run to the opposite side of the map and hide somewhere and just sit on your wrist pad the entire game. Now IQs are going to be able to see that and kill you. So it's going to be a pretty big change for Echo roaming. But that's the last change. And then here they're looking over the operators that they recently changed. We have Doc and Rook where they reduced the MP5 damage and saw that overall, they're coming more in line with what they want in their graph. Their win rates are becoming more even, and their pick rates are becoming more towards the 22.5%. And then they're talking about Ashe, where they removed her ACOG and said that her pick rate went down 20%, where right now she's at about 50% before she was at 70%. And they also said that her win rate went up, which is pretty funny considering they tried to make her worse, technically. But I think that's because the 20% that stopped picking her are people who only really relied on the ACOG. And that now that it's a little more difficult for her to get kills at range, only the good players are playing her, and they're bringing up the win delta. And some people are thinking that Twitch is going to be the next one to lose her ACOG. I don't see that happening. I don't think the ACOG is going to be that significant, but you never know. I think the next big change we'll see is Jaeger. He has the highest pick rate by far out of any operator, 70%. Which is about where Ashe was before they removed her ACOG. I don't know what they'll do to Jaeger to reduce his pick rate, but they need to do something. They can't take away his ACOG, it's already gone, but he needs to be more in line with the other operators. And then Legion, I think, will also be someone that we see being changed soon, because as he stands, he's way too impactful in a round. But yeah, that is it for the patch notes. There's a lot of operator changes coming this mid-season. Normally it's like 1 or 2 with a few other small alterations, but this one's been pretty heavy. We have 1, 2, I'd say 3 huge impacting ones with Lion, Capitao, and Maestro, and then 2 medium ones, which is Ying and Blitz, and then 2 minor ones, which is Cade and Echo. So this is a pretty big update and will hopefully make the game a little more enjoyable because right now people still run Cancer Comp a lot, which is Lion, Blitz, Dokkaebi, Jackal, Ashe. But now all those operators are slowly being nerfed, which is nice. So hopefully it'll make the game a little more enjoyable, because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this season has just been pretty lackluster. Anyways, that'll be it for this patch notes reading. I hope you guys are excited for this patch like I am, because Lion is a piece of shit operator and does not deserve to be in the game. But I can't wait to see all the comments of people defending him, saying, wow, Lion was not that overpowered, you guys just are bad, just stand still, lol. Anyways, that'll be it for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.